Here are the top stories for today, March 7, 2022. An official says the Philippines must retain alert level 1 as the economy continues to pick up from the pandemic and to cushion the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict to the local economy. The government vaccination drive remains in full swing, targeting some 1.8 million senior citizens who remain unvaccinated and to prevent a spike in infections ahead of the start of the campaign for local positions. Over 1.3 million civilians have left Ukraine as Russia's military offensive in the Eastern European shows no sign of abating, despite the series of talks going on between the two sides. And authorities arrest over 1,600 violators of the election gun ban almost 2 months before the May 9 elections. Good day, I'm Marita Muahe. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. With Metro Manila and several parts of the country now under Alert Level 1 status, a palace official wants the lowest alert level maintained to counter the effects of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia to the global economy. Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion said increased mobility and economic activity will support the expansion of gross domestic product and will keep businesses afloat. Concepcion said the global economic slowdown brought by the Ukraine-Russia crisis will hit micro, small, and medium enterprises the hardest due to skyrocketing commodity prices. He noted that schools and offices have a massive multiplier effect in spurring economic activity, especially with MSMEs like cafeterias, retail shops, and transports. He insisted that the country should maintain its Alert Level 1 status until the end of the year. To do so, Concepcion emphasized the need to continue the administration of COVID-19 vaccine and booster shots. About 3.9 million doses of Pfizer vaccine arrived this morning at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. The vaccines are donated by the U.S. government through the COVAX facility. Previously, the country received 804,000 doses for the 5 to 11 age group on Thursday and 11,700 doses for adults on Friday night. The Philippines has so far administered 145.8 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines nationwide. Over 63.6 million Filipinos are already fully vaccinated, including over 10 million with booster doses. Health authorities ensure that the vulnerable groups, particularly the elderly, will get inoculated against COVID-19. The upcoming fourth wave of the Bayanihan Bakunahan is slated this week. The details from Chris Mundo.
At least 1.8 million seniors are targeted to be vaccinated against COVID-19 during the Bayanihan Bakunahan drive, which will be held on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Health Undersecretary and National Vaccination Operations Chairperson Dr. Mirna Cabotaje said senior citizens who have not yet completed their primary dose series, as well as those who are set for booster shots, are among the priority. In Central Visayas, the Bayanihan Bakunahan vaccination drive targets 160,000 senior citizens in Cebu, 52,726 in Western Visayas, and 51,993 in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Overall, Central Visayas aims to vaccinate 150,798 senior citizens in the provinces of Cebu, Bohol, and Negros Oriental, including the highly urbanized cities of Mandaue and Lapu-Lapu. The other target is 61,427 adults in different categories who are still seeking to complete their primary series, as well as 9,838 individuals for booster jabs. In Iloilo Province, the provincial government will refocus its vaccination drive to reach out to senior citizens who have not yet received their COVID-19 shot. Governor Arthur Defensor Jr. said many senior citizens in the province are not inoculated, citing vaccine hesitancy and access as among other reasons. As such, the provincial government is now coordinating with the DOH and the Department of Social Welfare and Development and will be coming up with activities and incentives to encourage them to avail of the life-saving jabs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
The national government plans to intensify its COVID-19 vaccination program before the campaign period for local election starts on March 25. Health Undersecretary Mirna Cabotay said the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines has asked the Department of the Interior and Local Government and Department of Health to extend the disbursement of funds to be able to continue the vaccination program in their localities. The Commission on Elections Resolution number 10747 prohibits public fund spending from March 25 to May 8, 2022. Cabotay has said the government is laying down alternative strategies to further expand the vaccination program amid the national and local polls. The national government is set to roll out the 4th Bayanihan Bakunahan from March 10 to 12 to scale up the administration of booster shots. Cabotay said the government will further capacitate LGUs that have yet to reach 70% of their target population for the vaccination drive. It also aims to provide full protection against COVID-19 to at least 80% of senior citizens and those with comorbidities while pushing everybody to embrace the new normal. The Antipolo City Local Government and the Light Rail Transit Authority or LRTA have stepped up the COVID-19 vaccination activity at Line 2's Antipolo Station starting today, March 7. To encourage more vaccinees, LRTA provides a free one-day unlimited pass to those who will avail of primary or booster shots at any LR22 vaccination sites. The Antipolo Station Line 2's easternmost terminal is strategically located as point of convergence from passengers coming from Rizal Province. The Cubao Station in Quezon City will also start giving free COVID-19 jobs on Mondays only from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Manila's Recto Station vaccination will still be every Tuesday and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. About 1.3 million people in Ukraine are forced to flee the country as Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The escalation of the violence in Ukraine has severely affected the water, sanitation, and hygiene infrastructure in the region. The Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights said Saturday it has recorded 1,058 casualties in Ukraine, 351 of them killed and 707 injured. Ukrainian authorities said 39 people had been killed in the Kharkiv region near the Russian border. The UNHCR also said the numbers of newly displaced families within Ukraine or crossing borders to seek safety keeps increasing dramatically by the hour. Ukraine on Friday claimed that a total of 9,166 Russian soldiers had been killed since the start of Russia's war on its neighbor. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian General Staff said since the beginning of the war, the Ukrainian army had destroyed 33 Russian-owned aircraft, 37 helicopters, 251 tanks, 939 armored vehicles, 105 artillery systems, and 2 light speedboats. Russian forces also lost 50 multiple rocket launcher systems, 404 vehicles, 60 fuel vehicles, 18 anti-aircraft warfare systems, and 3 unmanned aerial vehicles, according to the statement. Still to come, the top government council moves to void the pact on voter education between the Comelec and Rappler. And the Foreign Affairs Department summons the country's envoy to Saudi Arabia over the alleged politicking of his wife. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom. Solicitor General Jose Calida is seeking to void Comelec's fact-checking agreement with Rappler, saying the media entity is violating the right to free speech. In a press release, the Office of the Solicitor General states that it is beyond belief that Comelec has allowed a foreign, non-registered entity to interfere in the conduct of the country's elections. It adds that the MOA between Comelec and Rappler breeds unconstitutional incursion into an individual's rights to privacy, as Rappler was granted access to key information and confidential data of registered voters absent any proper and narrowly focused safeguards on the retrieval, use, and storage of such data. Calida emphasized the urgency to restrain Rappler, saying every Filipino deserves and aspires for free, orderly, honest, peaceful, and credible elections. For its part, Comelec insists it is a constitutional and independent body. Acting Comelec Chair Socorro Inting said that they are currently studying their options. Over 1,600 violators have so far been arrested nationwide. The Philippine National Police says among those who were nabbed include 1,589 civilians, 23 security guards, 15 police officers, and 9 military personnel. The top 5 regions are the National Capital Region, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, and Western Visayas. Violators face imprisonment of not less than 1 year but not more than 6 years and shall not be subjected to probation. They also face disqualification to hold public office, deprivation of the right of suffrage, and cancellation or perpetual disqualification to secure a gun license. The Comelec Resolution number 10728 prohibits bearing, carrying, or transporting firearms or deadly weapons outside their residence and in all public places from January 9 until June 8. Exempted from the ban are in law enforcers with authorizations from the Comelec wearing an agency-prescribed uniform while on official duty. The Department of Foreign Affairs has instructed the Philippine ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Adnan Alonto, to go home following his wife's perceived violation of rules. This after the envoy's wife, Jo, was reported to have encouraged the Philippine community in an online meeting to vote while wearing a red shirt bearing the initials of a presidential candidate. In the video, which has so far garnered 120,000 views on Twitter, the woman identified as Alonto's wife can be heard making a disclaimer that she was not asking overseas Filipino workers to vote for her candidate but was merely encouraging them to cast their ballots. Speaking in front of the crowd, she urges them to cast their vote as this might just be the turning point so that we will have another Ilocano president. In a statement, the DFA warns its employees and officers, including those in foreign service posts, from engaging directly or indirectly in any electioneering or partisan political activity. President Rodrigo Duterte inaugurated the country's first solar-powered public market and commercial complex in Ilocos Sur. The newly constructed public market, located on a more than 1.5-hectare lot in Barangay San Antonio, Narvacan, has already accepted several stall applicants. The huge farmers market can house 16 commercial shops, 2 food chains, 207 stalls, and a grocery shop. The president says he is hoping that the local government units in the country would be inspired to follow suit, saying it would bring in more business opportunities.
On this opening ceremony of the Narvacan Farmers Market and Commercial Complex, we welcome the bright hopes and great opportunities awaiting the businesses and consumers, not only from the municipality of Narvacan, but also from the other neighboring areas. The establishment of this commercial facility is a testament to the long and worthwhile journey that your town has collectively endured in surpassing the challenges that you are confronted. I thus congratulate the local government and its private partners for the completion of this project. Let me also commend you for integrating a sustainable energy source for this structure. Ang ganda.
The Philippine government, through the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives for Enterprises or CREATE law, is giving generous fiscal incentives for investments in new technologies. DTI Undersecretary Rafaelita Aldaba said under the Create Law, Tier 3 activities are given the longest period for income tax holidays, special corporate income tax of 5% for export enterprises, and enhanced deductions. Tier 3 investments include robotics, industrial biotechnology, additive manufacturing, photonics, advanced materials, nanotechnologies, advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence, mobility, blockchain, cybersecurity, satellite technology, big data, Internet of Things, augmented and virtual reality, micro and nanoelectronics, and cognitive technology. Under the Create Law, export enterprises with investments in Tier 3 activities within Metro Manila are qualified for 6 years of income tax holidays, 7 years for investments outside Metro Manila, and another 10 years of enhanced deductions and special corporate income tax of 5%. For domestic market activities, the government provides 6 years of income tax holidays for investments in the National Capital Region, 7 years for investments outside NCR, and 5 more years for enhanced deductions and special corporate income tax. Up next, the Philippine Army in Eastern Visayas hopes that the next government will let the NTF-ELCAC remain. And Antica-Sibalom Natural Park is now open to tourists. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed our lives for the worse. Lives and jobs were lost and economies reached a meltdown. Thanks to the arrival of safe and effective vaccines, we are one step closer to normalcy. It's time to do our part, get vaccinated for our safety and for our recovery.
If you are there in that community, go there and have yourself vaccinated by any of the vaccines available. They are all potent, they are all effective. I would like to appeal to all our kababayans, please get vaccinated against COVID-19 and be the government partner in preventing further spread of the disease. I encourage you to get vaccinated as soon as possible time. These vaccines are safe and they are the key to reopening our society. The need for international solidarity and cooperation cannot be made clearer than this pandemic, because everyone is safe. No one is safe globally until everybody is safe.
Vaccines work.
The Eastern Mindanao Commander, East Mincom, lauded the combined efforts of the military, police, former rebels, and local government for clearing the New People's Army Sub-Regional Committee 5. The statement came after various NPA members and supporters continued to surface and scrap the local communist armed struggle. On February 28, over 200 indigenous members of NPA front groups surrendered and rejected the Communist Party of the Philippines in a ceremony in Barangay Santo Niño in Talaingod, Davao del Norte. Lieutenant General Greg Almerol, commander of the East Mincom, said this proves the effectiveness of President Rodrigo Duterte's Executive Order 70, which institutionalized the whole-of-nation approach. Almerol pointed out that the recent mass surrender was made more significant by the submission of former Salugpunga students and teachers. He also called on the remaining members of the NPA groups in Eastern Mindanao to surrender. Meanwhile, the Philippine Army in Eastern Visayas is hopeful that the next president of the country will continue implementing the initiatives of the National Task Force and Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC. Major General Edgardo de Leon, commander of the Army's 8th Infantry Division, said the NTF-ELCAC continuation by the next administration means that the Barangay Development Program, or BTP, will also continue. He said communities will be empowered to reject the ideology of the CPP, NPA, NDF. In eastern Visayas, there are over 200 previously conflict-stricken villages identified as BDP recipients. The Philippine Statistics Authority has urged more Albayanos to register for the Philippine Identification or PhilID. PSA Albay said only about 3.56% or 19,000 out of the target of over 543,000 has registered. Almost 121,000 PhilIDs have been delivered to the recipients so far. The PSA said the delivery of IDs was delayed because they had to undergo a thorough verification, apart from other factors. Residents from distant barangays also found it difficult to travel to PhilSys registration centers. To address this, PhilSys registration teams hold mobile registration in barangays in Albay and Legazpi City to reach more applicants. Members of the Philippine delegation to the 2020 Olympic Games will be cited during the San Miguel Corporation Philippine Sports Writers Association Annual Awards Night next week at the Diamond Hotel. Citations are going to be given to 19 of the country's athletes in the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics. The list of Olympians include skateboarder Marjeline Didal, boxer Irish Magno, golfers Bianca Pagdanganan and Juvic Pagunsan, weightlifter Elrin Ando, trackster Christina Knott, swimmers Remedy Rule and Luke Gebi, judoka Kiyomi Watanabe, rower Chris Nievares, taekwondo Jean Kurt Barbosa, and shooter Jason Valdez. The Paralympians include swimmers Ernie Gawilan and Gary Bihino, wheelchair racer Gerald Mangliwan, taekwondo Jean Alain Ganapin, trackster Jeanette Aceveda, and powerlifter Ashel Guion. Weightlifter Vanessa Sarno was added to the list for winning 2 gold medals and a silver in the ASEAN Women Championships in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. 39 athletes, officials, and entities make up the 2021 batch of awardees to be feted by the sports writing fraternity during the gala night. The Sibalom Natural Park has opened its doors to tourists going sightseeing in Antique Province in the new normal. SNP Protected Area Superintendent Anthony Evangelio said that the park is open to visitors since March 1. Evangelio said several activities were restricted following its declaration as a natural park in 2018. The natural park is teeming with endangered and endemic plants and annual species such as the reddish-orange colored rare Rafflesia speciosa, considered as the world's largest flower. It was discovered by the Antique Outdoors, a group of conservationists in the province in 2000. Currently, 80 Bantay Gubat personnel of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources patrol the area to help in the conservation and protection of various species. Meanwhile, amenities such as picnic tables, gazebos, and cottages for families and small groups are also available in the area. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. An official says the Philippines must retain Alert Level 1 as the economy continues to pick up from the pandemic and to cushion the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict to the local economy. The government vaccination drive remains in full swing, targeting some 1.8 million senior citizens who remain unvaccinated and to prevent a spike in infections ahead of the start of the campaign for local positions. Over 1.3 million civilians have left Ukraine as Russia's military offensive in the Eastern European shows no sign of abating, despite the series of talks going on between the two sides. And authorities arrest over 1,600 violators of the election gun ban almost 2 months before the May 9 elections. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear face masks and face shields. Wash your hands often. Practice safe physical distancing. Go out only for essential reasons. And get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, you may watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I'm Marita Muaje. Stay safe and have a good day.